Yo, what's going on, your boy Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Modern Warfare AUG and MAC-10. And originally this was supposed to be a OTS versus Modern Warfare AUG video. However, with the recent nerf that they just did to the OTS, I had to switch it up because the OTS might no longer be the best SMG. And I wanted to use this video to kind of like shine a little light on the Modern Warfare AUG, because this AUG is actually really nasty. But again, man, originally this video was to be an OTS one, but with Ravens announcing that they were going to nerf it. Actually, let me backtrack a little bit. At the time of me making this video, the nerf is not live, and so the OTS is still, you know, the pre-nerf one is still really good. When you see this video, the nerf is going to be live. So if I was to have made a OTS video, it wouldn't have been relevant because the gun would already been nerfed. So I wanted to include the MAC-10 because the MAC-10, again, the most reliable SMG throughout the course of Warzone for the last like 3 months, and the Modern Warfare AUG. In my opinion, a rising star in the SMG category, a gun with a lot of potential, and I wanted to use this video to highlight the potential this gun has. But anyways, man, with that being said, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000. Also, if you guys could do me a favor following me over on my Twitch channel at @alwaysghost_, I'd be greatly appreciated. But yeah, man, with that being said, let's get into this comparison. Here we have the recoil pattern for the AUG, and as you guys can see here, the recoil's obviously not that crazy. But to be honest, that's not even the big talking point that we have about this gun, because this gun has a lot of factors that you need to have in check for it to maximize its potential. And as you guys see here with my class setup, I would honestly not recommend you guys this class setup because it's way too slow. This gun, or the class setup, is just way too slow to be called the SMG. As a matter of fact, it was way slower than my primary gun, which was the FARA, and I just ran with my FARA because it was just much faster, and it felt much faster than all, which is ridiculous to say. And you know, just to let you know that I need your guys' AUG class setup, because my AUG class setup isn't it because it's way too slow. It does kill fast, ADS is pretty decently, but it's just way too slow, man. I'm running like a goddamn tortoise, bro. I need something to make me feel like I'm flying on the map. And yeah, that me running like a tortoise could be attributed to the fact that I'm using the NATO rounds. And if you guys don't know, you probably do know already, but the AUG has 2 different rounds, or 2 different types of ammo. For starters, we have the base ammo, which is what, 9mm, I believe, and then we have the NATO rounds, which is AR rounds put into the SMG. And the NATO rounds actually ends up obviously decreasing everything for the AUG in terms of mobility and stuff. So you got to be careful with that, because when you use NATO mags, you're giving up your ADS time, you're giving up mobility, and you just got to be careful, man. And also reload speed, of course. So basically, you become slower to get more damage. And in my opinion, I would definitely recommend to use the NATO mags, but you got to be careful when building the gun because you're going to be sacrificing some sort of speed. I sacrificed too much speed with the class setup that I ended up using. And in the past, like I mentioned, I have used a NATO builds with the AUG, and it was never this slow. So I don't know what I did wrong. So hopefully you guys can correct me. But anyways, moving over to the base rounds, the 9mm. Apparently those have the time to kill that is faster than the OTS and MAC-10, or just faster than a lot of these SMGs. I'm not entirely sure on how accurate that is, but that's what I've been told. I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt because I don't know if it's confirmed yet. And if anything, you guys can just research that and see if it's true. But the 9mm I would also definitely recommend. However, the only downside to that is the max that you can get for those rounds is 32. And 32 bullets is just not enough. And if you're gonna play in those bigger modes with, you know, trios or quads, I would definitely recommend you to center your AUG build around a 60-round NATO mag. I know 30 and 32 seem a lot better for mobility purposes, but when you're playing against 3 or 4 people, you're gonna need as much ammo as you can get. And there are builds out there with 60 rounds that are still not the slowest, and you can get around pretty quickly. I messed up with my build. I thought this was gonna work better. It didn't work better. I need to figure out something else, because this is not. I need to go back to the drawing board. But I would definitely guarantee you that if I'm gonna build the Modern Warfare AUG class, I'm gonna use the 60 rounds. Like that's me personally. I would definitely also recommend sleight of hand. However, if you feel like an attachment's gonna help you over sleight of hand, go for it. Reloading fast is important, but it's not as important as ADS and faster, or being able to move faster. Just, you know, whatever works for you though, man, let's go for it. But just make sure it's not too slow, because being too slow will get you killed with guns like the MAC-10 or just any other SMG, which are, you know, pretty fast. And they might not have the damage as the AUG, but them just being fast will help them in close quarter situations. So be aware of that. But with that being said, man, let's get into the MAC and stats. And then we have the recoil pattern for the MAC-10. Again, man, one of the more consistent weapons that has been in Warzone for the last few months. And again, I wanted to make this video to highlight the potential new meta after the OTS nerf, because arguably right now the OTS was the best SMG, but now that it's been nerfed, you can pretty much assume that a new SMG is going to take its place. And I wanted to use this video to highlight a potential candidate in the AUG, and you know, just compare it to a gun like the MAC-10, which is probably going to get used again, because again, this is one of the more consistent ones. Always top 3, always top 5 in terms of SMGs. Like, this gun is always being used. And the Modern Warfare AUG is a gun that's being slept on that has a lot of potential, and this is what this video is being used for, to showcase that the AUG has the potential to be as great as the other SMGs. But anyways, man, with that being said, let's move on over to the first stat, which is the fire rate. And if you guys have been watching my videos for weeks now, you will know the MAC-10's fire rate by heart now, because I do a lot of comparisons with the MAC-10s. Not intentionally, it just happens. Anyways, the fire rate for the MAC-10 is 1,118 RPM. And then for the AUG, it gets a little interesting, because for the base AUG, it's 739 RPM. But if you put on the NATO rounds, or the 60mm mag specifically, I guess, you go to 663 RPM. So pretty much, if you use the NATO mags, you're going to be losing the fire rate battle to the MAC-10 by almost double. And yeah, fire rate does matter, because the MAC-10 is doesn't have the highest damage. It's actually pretty weak statistically, but the fire rate bails it out heavily. And in this situation, that's the same thing that's going to happen with this comparison. But the AUG is a very, very heavy hitter, because if we move over to the damage stats, and keep in mind, I don't know what stats this is supposed to represent. It just says AUG. I'm not entirely sure if this is the NATO mag or if it's the base one. Regardless, even if it is the base one, this is very, very interesting stats. So for 0 to 13.5 meters, we have 49 damage to the head, 37 to the neck, chest, and then 34 to the stomach, and then 30 to the extremities, which are the limbs. That's for the AUG. Again, I'm not sure if that's NATO rounds or if that's just the base AUG. And then moving over to the MAC-10, we have for 0 to 15.5 meters, 28 damage to the head, 22 to the neck, chest, stomach, and then 22 to the extremities. Obviously there, a big mismatch in damage. And even, again, like I mentioned, even if the stats that I mentioned for the AUG were just the base ones, if you put on the NATO's going to have more damage than that. And so regardless, this gun is just way more powerful than the MAC-10. However, if you use NATO mag, keep in mind, you're going to lose fire rate, as you're going to be a lot slower in certain situations, and just in general, just slower than the MAC-10, which is one of the more versatile SMGs, one of the more mobile SMGs, the guns that are always favored for the people that like to be fast. And the AUG is one of those weapons that you got to be careful with, because on one hand, you get a lot of ammo, you get slower. On the other hand, you're fast, but you have 32 rounds. So you got to be careful, man. You really got to find that sweet spot with the AUG in order to fully maximize. And again, don't let the damn near double fire rate of the MAC-10 discourage you from using the AUG, because the AUG is really good, and I think it should be given a chance, even if it's going to get completely outclassed in terms of fire rate. But fire rate doesn't tell the whole story, because again, yeah, fire rate does matter, but man, listen, there's going to be a lot of situational things that are going to matter in these certain situations where the AUG will thrive in, and other times the MAC will thrive in. Like, you just got to be in different situations and have some things go your way for a certain matchup to go in your favor. I mean, you all know this. This is BR, this is Warzone. Like, that's how things work. So a theoretical matchup between the AUG and MAC-10 just doesn't matter, because the perfect scenario for both these weapons to be able to go head on just doesn't exist. And if it does happen in the game, it's going to happen very rarely, and it's not going to happen every game or every engagement. But anyways, man, with that being said, moving over to the range stats, because actually the range aspect for both these weapons are very interesting. So for 13.5 meters and above, we have 38 damage to the head, 28 to the neck, 28 to the chest, 26 to the stomach, 23 to the extremities. That was for the AUG. And then for the MAC-10, we have 22 damage to the head, 19 to the neck, chest, and stomach, and then 17 to the extremities. That's for 15.5 meters and above. And both these weapons are actually pretty solid at range. The MAC-10, a pretty solid weapon at range, and the AUG as well, especially if you put on the barrel with the NATO mags. This gun is like a mini AR, because it does end up becoming an AR with the NATO mags. And so when you put on that barrel as well, like, this gun could have some serious range to it. And the MAC-10, obviously no stranger to that range aspect to it. Actually, one of my favorite weapons for range in terms of SMG. Both these weapons, though, aside from being secondaries, I think they could be great sniper supports for you snipers out there. Definitely give a chance on the AUG, because again, bro, I feel like the AUG has been getting stuff up for way too long. If you guys have been with me for a really long time, you would know that I've been preaching about the AUG for quite some time now. If you, like, I would say maybe, damn, it's been a really long time since I posted an AUG comparison, but if you've been here for a while, you would remember that AUG comparison. I made it back in, like, what, Season 5, Season 6 of the Warzone before the Cobra integration. So if you've been rocking with me for them, man, you're OG, and you would know, man, this AUG is definitely the truth. So now, fast forward a few months in a different just era of Warzone, I still think it's one of those weapons that deserves to get recognition, especially now that the OTS, I guess the one that was considered the king of SMGs that got knocked down, I think it's now the perfect time for a gun like the AUG to be able to showcase its potential in a time where people are just going to be scrambling to find a new SMG. I really hope that the AUG gets some chance, because I feel like the AUG just is good, but it doesn't get the attention, so it's pretty much good for no reason. And hopefully it gets that reason, even if it ends up getting nerfed over time, because this weapon, I'm telling you, man, it could be a problem if it gets that chance. But anyways, man, with that being said, let me know what you guys think about the AUG. Do you guys think it could become the next meta now that the OTS got nerfed? And yeah, man, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later, and I'm out. Peace.